Constitution these days. I read your latest piece on what happened on Monday. My question to you was supposed to be what worries you the most about this immunity ruling, and yet I feel like we already know what the answer is, huh?
I want to know who's surprised. Honestly, I want to know who hasn't been paying enough attention to the Supreme Court that they're actually surprised that they went this far. I want all of the institutionalists to be lined up in front of me so they can apologize to me and America for gaslighting people for the past 3 decades about what these conservatives were actually about, because people like me have been trying to scream it from the rooftops for years at this point. The Supreme Court is, the conservative-controlled Supreme Court is 100% involved in a massive power grab. What they are trying to do is remake the rules of American democracy so that unelected, unaccountable judges hold all of the power and the voters hold none, even in the immunity decision, right? And I know immunity, it's creating the presidency as an office of king. It's giving extreme power to the executive. But think carefully about what the court actually did there, right? What they did is that they tried to separate out the difference between unofficial and official acts, right? They didn't give any guidance about what those acts might be. They didn't give any guidance so that we, the people, might understand the difference between official and unofficial acts. They just said, yeah, there's probably a difference, but everything Trump did was most likely official. Well, what does that mean? That means going forward that the only people who know whether or not a president is able to commit crimes is not the president, it's the Supreme Court. With the Chevron case, as we saw, the only people who know what regulations we are allowed or not allowed to have is the Supreme Court. The only people who know what laws are constitutional or unconstitutional is the Supreme Court, not Congress, not the president, and not the voters. That is the point. That is the through line from everything that we've seen from the Supreme Court, not only this past week, but over the past 10 or so years. And that's where we are in this country, with a court that is completely overpowered and a court that understands we, the people, and we, the Democratic Party, lack the strength to do squadouche to stop them.
You know, in that majority opinion in the ruling, Chief Justice Roberts argued that the hesitation to execute the duties of his office fearlessly and fairly under a pall of potential prosecution raises unique risks to the effective functioning of government. Ellie, since when is criminal deterrence a bad thing?
Right? Like, remember, this is about what Trump did while he thought he could be prosecuted after the fact for his crimes. Can you imagine what he's going to do now that he knows that he can't be prosecuted for crimes? And the idea that the president needs to act so quickly, boldly, and without reason, that criming is just a thing that might happen, that, God forbid, the president feels restrained from committing crimes. That is insane. Yet that is the opinion here. Another thing, and because we're lawyers, we can talk about this, but I think most of your listeners can understand this distinction between the absolute immunity that they offered the president of the United States versus even qualified immunity that they give to cops and other, government officials. Right in the word qualified immunity means, well, it's qualified. That means, well, there's a way to, as we lawyers like to say, pierce the veil of qualified immunity. Maybe you're generally immune, but on this particular situation, Mr. Copper, sir, you're not immune at all. Not so with presidents. Presidents are absolutely immune from everything. And again, with qualified immunity, that only applies to civil cases. That applies to suing them for damages after the fact. It doesn't apply to crimes. Cops can still be charged with murder. Not so with presidents. It's absolute immunity for criminal actions, not civil penalties. It's unhinged. But again, this is what the court has been pretty much since Roberts took control of it.
Which, by the way, and Ellie, I need to have you back because we need to talk some more about it because I'm out of time. But the Roberts being construed as being the moderate is absurd. And that goes out the door because in this particular Roberts court, Chevron gone, homelessness is bad, but SEAL Team 6 is good.
And don't forget, gratuities, also bribery legal now.
But you can do that. That's an official act, right? Bribery. Ellie Yingmastal, thank you. Thank you for being indignant, and thank you for being angry. We need it. We do. Thanks, my friend.
Have the best weekend you can.
Happy. I'm trying, friend.